आज तो लोगों को 7:30 और डिजाइनर का आईडी कार्ड को ऐसे टंगा के मार के नहीं क्यों बड़ी बात पड़ी है ठीक है just wait until holder asks just continue that question you say sorry question acceleration मुझे ब्लैक को थोड़ा पसंद है ना तो इसलिए वो अरे नहीं बट देखने में अच्छा क्वेश्चन दूंगा आंसर ला एक जो चुप रहते हैं क्वेश्चन दो तेरे पास 10-15 पेन होते हैं पिंक ब्लू रेड ग्रीन ऐसा हर सब कुछ है मेरे पास एक ब्लू पेन मुश्किल से होता है कल मेरे पास एक भी नहीं था कल था एक भी मिल गया मैंने क्लास में था क्या हुआ ये गाइस अभी 3 साल मैंने एक भी नहीं है अब गलती मेरी थोड़ी ना है वो लिसन अभी फाइनल होता है 7:30 तेरा चार्ट पेपर मेरे पास वही मैं सोच रही थी शाम को जब मैं फ्री टाइम था ना तो मैं ड्रॉ करके चार्ट पेपर देखना है मैं वो वापस खबर नहीं करना आदमी के माना सिस्टम छोड़ना बट अभी मुझे देख पेपर में माना से but this school she will doing this in how to but the thing that much is making मामला कुछ ब्रेक बताया मेरा प्रोजेक्ट किसने लिया था कविता ने have a mango milk. लंच से हार्ट से बॉडी में जाता है इसलिए दो ट्रांसफर अच्छा जाता है। अरे भाई ये तो पंजाब की है थोड़ी। मेरे साइंस के वर्ड तेरे पास तो पूरा मैथमेटिक्स नोट डाल दे अच्छी बात है लाइक एक्सरसाइज वाली मॉडल मुझे ना क्योंकि दो साइंस का वॉल्यूम और कैसे मिलेगा तो दैट वॉल्यूम इसने एक्स्ट्रा पेपर नहीं दिया और जिसने गलती कर दी गलती कर दी है तो याद भी नहीं था दो दिन और मैंने उस दिन कल एड्रेस की कविता या तो सब कर दे इतने सारे एड्रेस के जो अभी भी मैंने कोई भी और एग्जांपल से स्टार्ट बहुत How does online what I have written is red to the sky and what is between मैंने नहीं वो तो नाइट oh yeah mushrooms are ever fungi क्या निकाल क्या अरे मेरे नाम को मैंने सीखने का बेस्ट नहीं किया निशी का बोला बेस्ट तेरी वैल्यू देखो जो है ना बुलाते हैं मेरा मैं तूने वो ऑयल क्यों किया है? क्या मैं सुबह तेरा शक्ल याद करके ऑयल डालना है मैगी में, ये भी क्या दवाओं मैगी एग्जैक्टली। आज मैं नहीं दे रही, अब दोनों में इसको नहीं देंगे। मैंने बोल रही हाँ वो तो मैं जानती हूँ। रोटी सब्जी है और एक रोटी में नटेला लगा नहीं यार नटेला मेरे रोटी नटेला इसने खा लिया मेरा भाई है तेरा नहीं मेरा भाई और भाई खा लिया क्या अरे एक चम्मच तो खाने एक चम्मच यूज करने तो खाने में खत्म इतना छोटा क्यों खरीदते बड़ा वाला नहीं खरीदा और बड़ा लेके तो लोअर रहेगा मेरा वो जो नटेला का दुकान थी बस वो भी खत्म हो जाएगा ये खाइए पक्का ये खाइए फिर से अच्छे से इसमें रक्स का झूठा भी खाया मैंने नहीं खाया पूरा चाट के खा गई इसने पूरा कंजूस ने पूरा चाट के खाया उस टाइम वाला मैं तो बीच में से खाया था चुप रहे तेरी वजह से हुआ सब रोटी लेकर खा सकता था ना उसके साथ मेरे को रोटी तो नहीं खानी थी नहीं रोटी नहीं खानी थी वो भी रोटी ऐसे ही दिख रहा था पैक भी था वो चॉकलेट पैक तूने खाया जितनी तूने खाया अरे घर के साथ मैंने नहीं किया सबको लग रहा था सब बच्चे उल्टी करते थे तो एक्स्ट्रा सीट हो गई नहीं इतना भी नहीं तो मैं एक्टिव हो येलो उल्टी अरे उल्टी तेरा तो 3G कट है भाई बहुत अच्छा था नाइस थैंक यू चालू पक्का लगेगा स्टैंड अप भाई क्या है वो बहन यार पासवर्ड दे रहे नहीं एक सेकंड है बात yes उधर उसकी साइड नाइस स्वीट चार्जर दीदी कौन देगा उसके पास उसको अकेले बैठना दूर बैठना नहीं अकेले में वो मेरे को सबसे बड़ा खिला रहे थे नहीं इधर ही आगे देखना है नो ओके दैट्स इट Stop calling my ब्रो तेरा तो 2 मिनट निकला
ट्रांसलेशन हो गया
ट्रांसलेशन को जो बीच से पानी कैलकुलेटर्स आता है Okay, no, not today. Not today.
Busy talking. How are you? Good? Not good? Okay. Why okay? Holidays getting over.
No, holidays are not there only.
Half day holiday है ना?
नहीं है। हाफ डे में भी हॉलिडे होमवर्क करना पड़ता है स्कूल। हाफ
फिर भी घर पे आराम से बैठ के हो ना?
नहीं मैम।
कहाँ बैठे?
मैम इतना टाइम तो स्कूल भी होता है।
स्कूल का छुट्टी झाड़ू होता है।
स्कूल होता है, स्कूल के बाद ड्यूटी आते हो, घर पहुंचते हो 8 बजे, उससे ये अच्छा नहीं है?
नहीं,
बजे घर पहुंचा
आपको सुबह उठना अच्छा था।
अच्छा सुबह 10 बजे तक लेटे रहना है? ये इसमें कौन सा वायरल इन्फेक्शन है जो कोई नहीं बैठ रहा है इसमें? हाँ? वही तो पूछ रही हूँ, कौन से बैक्टीरिया कौन सा वायरस है इसमें जो कोई भी नहीं बैठ रहा? चलो लास्ट लाइन इधर आ जाओ। अटेंडेंस शीट कहाँ है? We are already finished. Raja, 2 minutes time only. You have to complete now with the last part of the chapter. homework. I gave you some 5 questions. I think.
10 questions.
इतना डिसीजन लेना जरूरी नहीं है, इतना कुछ डिसाइड करना नहीं है, बस उठना है, बैग लेना है, आ जाना है। बैग के साथ ही आओगे ना, पढ़ाई करना है ना तुमको। अच्छा, इन तीनों का इंटरेक्शन देख, एक साथ ही तीनों को बोल रहे हैं। हमेशा जाके पहले लास्ट में क्यों बैठना है, फर्स्ट जब खाली है। चलो, now all of you will show me those 10 questions that I gave you as homework. Let us complete discussing those answers, then I will check your notebooks. All of you first check for yourself. All of you have to show me that work. सबका हुआ?
I was absent, so मेरा वो part clear नहीं है।
The previous day you were absent. अच्छा, कभी? हाँ, attendance check करना पड़ेगा. And who remained absent? You were very much there the last day.
It was in school.
Dancing away in the beaches, no? And here we are all studying hard. जिन लोगों ने previous lecture attend नहीं किया, during the break you will finish up writing down the answers, because now I am discussing the answers. You will write down the answers and show me things which are not very clearly understood. Question answers अभी लिख के रखो. Now that I discussed things which are not very clear, you will ask me later, or else if you are attending some other lectures regarding that on those topics. Okay, all of you take out those questions, 10 questions, take out those questions. Let us discuss the answers first. Find out whether you have written the correct answers or not. Start. Number 1.
What is the movement of water? The movement of molecules from a region of high concentration to a region of low concentration.
Okay. What is diffusion? All of you check. Those of you haven't made any attempt to write down those questions, likho. Fatapat likho. What is diffusion? At least take down those questions or discuss with your, look for those questions in your friend's notebook, but during the break you will finish writing those and show me after the break. What is diffusion? The movement of water molecules from a region of high concentration to a region of low concentration. Always to remember that. Next.
Give two examples of plant organisms which carry out heterotrophic nutrition. Insectivorous plants like Venus flytrap and saprophytic plants like mushrooms are examples of plants which carry out heterotrophic nutrition.
Heterotrophic nutrition. Plants are always known to carry out autotrophic. Are there any plants which carry out heterotrophic? Yes, there are various plants which partly are autotrophic and partly they are heterotrophic, because the process of photosynthesis is very slow in them. The rate of photosynthesis is very low in them. So the organic food prepared by photosynthesis not sufficient. So partly they are also heterotrophic. Which are those? Venus flytrap, the cascata, the drosera. Yes, the pitcher plant. So all these are examples. So any 2 examples asked, then the question, or how many examples are asked? 2 examples. So drosera you write, Venus flytrap you write, bladderwort you write. So any of those examples, those of you have not written down examples, you can write down. These are certain examples of heterotrophs, but plants. Then you write down the pitcher plant. Then you write down any 2 you may write down. The Venus flytrap. Then the bladderwort. All these are examples that we understand for heterotrophs, plants which are heterotrophs. Come to the next question.
What is the source of oxygen liberated in photosynthesis? Oxygen liberated by the splitting or hydrolysis of water in leaf plants during photosynthesis.
What is the source of oxygen release? Oxygen is released by the splitting of the water molecule. Splitting of the water molecule, a process known as photolysis. Splitting of the water. Hydrolysis you have written?
Yes.
That is what I am saying. Splitting of the water molecule, also known as hydrolysis. splitting of the water molecule, also known as hydrolysis, which breaks down water to oxygen and hydroxyl ions. Water to oxygen and hydroxyl ions. This is what we had studied. Breaks down water to oxygen, hydroxyl ions, the process known as photolysis or splitting of the water molecule. Next. Will you be able to answer?
What would happen if all the green plants disappear?
That is simple.
All the organisms are dependent on the green plants. These green plants make their own food. All the species on the earth are directly or indirectly dependent them. If all the green plants disappears from the earth, there would be no food, no water. Ultimately,
no food. Don't write no water. No food.
Sorry,
No
food, which ultimately would end all of the life on earth.
अच्छा, इसमें all of the life on earth नहीं लिखना है, which would disturb ecological balance लिखना है.
ऐसे मैम.
हाँ बोलो.
I don't. There would be no photosynthesis, which would mean that oxygen supply in the air will decrease and the concentration of carbon dioxide in the air will increase.
So ये दो point ही लिखना है in the answer, food and oxygen, because water source तो और भी है. The plants are not the only major source for water for us. So but then the plants are source for what? Food and oxygen. So what is the answer that you are writing? If green plants, those of you have not written the answer, you may please write it down. If green plants disappear, there will be no organic food prepared. There will be no organic food prepared and oxygen released. There will be no organic food prepared and oxygen released. Next line you will write, all organisms or all animals, all animals are directly or indirectly dependent on the organic food of plants. All animals are directly or indirectly dependent on the organic food of plants, and oxygen is necessary for respiration of animals and plants. Oxygen is necessary for respiration of animals and plants. So, for 2 marks, this is what. For 3 marks, little bit more you can elaborate. But only on those 2 points, oxygen and organic food to write down. Tell me the next. Done? All of you done with this answer? Okay, 1 minute. Complete that answer first. Remember the 2 points, you may write your answer in points also. First of all, you elaborate on water, on food, organic food, and number 2, you elaborate on oxygen. Okay, now go ahead. Next.
Mention the role of bile salts in the digestion of fat. Where does digestion of fat?
अच्छा ठीक है.
Bile salts help in emulsify and break down large fat molecules into smaller drops.
Read, come again.
Bile salts help emulsify and break down large fat molecules into smaller drops.
Bile salts help in emulsify, you wrote? Emulsify. Bile salts help in the breakdown of complex fat to smaller fat globules. This process is emulsification. Now what she wrote? Complex fats, bile salts help to emulsify. Emulsify, ठीक है? But emulsified fats नहीं लिखना है. Then the meaning is absolutely different. Emulsify fats to smaller fat globule. Emulsify मतलब break down. But if you write bile salts help in breakdown of emulsified fats. Are you understanding what is the difference I am telling you? Emulsify fats एक meaning हो गया. Emulsified fats एक और meaning हो गया. Emulsified मतलब वो जो partially digested को broken को फिर से break करना. That is not the job of bile salts. Emulsify fats to smaller globules. Okay. Next.
Where does digestion of fat takes place in our body? food from the stomach enters into the small intestine. The majority of fat digestion happens when it reaches the small intestine. Pancreas and liver produce enzymes that break down fats, carbs, and proteins. And bile
carbs नहीं लिखना है, carbohydrates. Short form कोई don't write. Carbohydrates. हाँ, go ahead.
carbohydrates and proteins and bile that helps digest fats completely in the small intestine.
Where does, what is the question? Where does
The digestion of fat takes place in our body.
Where does digestion of fat takes place in our body? So digestion of fats takes place in our body in the small intestine. The same question can be for 3 marks. For 1 mark, then if you write small intestine also you get mark. If it is for 3 marks, then you'll have to explain the role of bile salts, explain the role of pancreatic amylase, just one sentence to write about them. That the process of bile digestion, the process of fat digestion starts with the bile salts in the small intestine, where the bile salts break down fats to smaller globules, then pancreatic lipase breaks them further to simpler molecules, and intestinal lipase breaks them down to fatty acids and glycerol. So, ये 3 step with description you will have to write little bit. If it is a 3 mark answer, if it is just 1 mark, where does it take place? Then you know that only that location is enough. The same thing, if it is for 3 marks, you will have to elaborate on the steps. ये किसका iPad है? तुम्हारा? उसका है? उसका iPad तुम पहन के बैठे थे? हाँ. ये चाहिए मुझे. Next is
what happens to the carbon dioxide which collects in the human being? In the human body, carbon dioxide is transported in the bloodstream to the lungs.
What happens to?
What happens to carbon dioxide which collects in the human beings?
Tissues.
In the human body, CO2 is transported in
No. What happens to carbon dioxide that is collected in the human tissues after the process of cellular respiration? That part you'll have to write. कैसे?
And forms a temporary compound with hemoglobin.
And then exchange of gases, it turns to the oxygen.
That's all for carbon dioxide. What I explained to you, is that all for carbon dioxide? Who remembers? Carbon dioxide transport कैसे होता है? Compound. And then comes to the lungs and then break down and then carbon dioxide released out. What is the other pathway? What is the other method of carbon dioxide release? What did we study? Nobody? Don't remember? Just look at them.
Double circulation.
Oh God! यहाँ पे double circulation कहाँ है? Go through. देखो. That is one pathway. That is what she mentioned also. That the carbon dioxide that is formed in the tissues, a part of the carbon dioxide enters the blood, binds with hemoglobin, comes to the lungs. What about the other major part of carbon dioxide which is coming from the tissue towards the blood? What happens to that carbon dioxide? How does it remain in the blood? What did I teach you there? Does all the amount of carbon dioxide bind with hemoglobin? Is that what I taught you?
No.
Then what happens to the rest of the amount? A small amount only binds with hemoglobin. What happens to the rest of the amount? I think I mentioned. Did I give you a process also? Did we answer one question regarding exchange of gases?
What is gaseous exchange and what is removal? Those two questions related to mention to
Nobody remembers the carbon dioxide which is produced in the cells. What is that process called? First of all, you tell me that. Cellular respiration. Now, as a result of cellular respiration, carbon dioxide is released. This carbon dioxide will come to the blood. You know why the reason. Why does it move towards the blood? High concentration, the differences. Now that it moves towards the blood, what happened to the carbon dioxide? This is what you'll have to write also. The carbon dioxide which is moving, diffusing from the tissue cells towards the blood, a major fraction of it remains in the blood plasma as carbonic acid or bicarbonates. Did I mention that? Did I mention that? I have drawn those diagrams and I had written also there. And a major fraction of it remains in the blood plasma as bicarbonate, also known as carbonic acid. And a small fraction only binds with hemoglobin to form a compound to come near the lungs. So this is the process that you'll have to write. There's one question also, that's why I did not give you this answer. This is your NCERT question only, which is answered there in the volume. This is explain the process of movement or exchange of oxygen and carbon dioxide. Explain the process of exchange of oxygen, carbon dioxide, transport of oxygen, carbon dioxide. So there, you'll have to mention how does oxygen go from the lungs to the tissues, all the steps, and how does carbon dioxide come from the tissues, and then how does it get transported in two different pathways. A part of it only binding with hemoglobin, and the major part remaining in the blood plasma as carbonic acid or bicarbonate. Always remember. Find out that answer there in the volume. There is one answer in your NCERT question.
How is oxygen and carbon dioxide transported?
This is the question. No, this is the question.
Yeah, question number 18.
Find out. This is the NCERT set of questions.
Yes, ma'am.
So exactly the same answer back if you go at the end of the book. At the end of the book, the answers are there. At the end of there. These are all the NCERT answers. Check. Now look for that question there.
Question.
Life process. Look for that question there.
Yeah, what's the page number?
The question is on 159, question 18.
Pick that answer. I did not give you this answer because it's already there in your book. You may elaborate again what is there in the book. We have given you the major points. You can straight away elaborate. Look into that answer there. All of you mark that answer and tick. Your NCERT set of questions which are marked in your volume, mark that and tick. Did you find it?
Yes.
Page
177.
179. Which question number?
Question number 18, the function of circulation.
18. Question number 18. Read that answer.
The function of
No, read for yourself. Read that answer and tell me, is that what written there, what I told you just now? All of you will read and tell me if it is clear, and is it what written there, what I explained you? Just follow it. It is mentioned in short, even if it is for 5 marks, we have to elaborate a little bit more. Done? So that part you'll have to write. Carbon dioxide, all the carbon dioxide never binds with hemoglobin. Always remember that. For oxygen, all of it binds with hemoglobin. For carbon dioxide, that's not the process. Next, we're supposed to answer.
What is the function of lymphatic system? Function of
Lymphatic system or lymph?
No, G should write the next question. Transpiration pull.
transpiration pull or the suction force is the force which aids in drawing the water upward from the roots to the leaves.
What is transpirational pull? Define transpirational pull. Transpirational pull is the pulling force or the suction force developed due to transpiration, where inside the xylem tissues, which helps in absorption of water from the soil and move to the upper parts. So it is, I had explained you the other day also, it is almost like you can imagine that it is a straw pipe with which you are constantly sipping the juice. So more the transpiration, more is the absorption. तो यहाँ पे कौन सा force apply हो रहा है? The suction force जिसको transpirational pull कहा जाता है. So that is the transpirational pull. The empty space every time created, filled up. This empty space created, filled up. So this is the simple process which is happening. So this empty space creating pressure is exerted. This pressure is what we are talking about as transpirational force. So what should you write in specific set of words? The pulling force or the suction force which is developed due to transpiration, which is developed due to transpiration at the xylem cells, which helps in absorption of water from the soil and movement or the upward movement towards the leaves. So that is what you'll have to write down. Got all the answers you got so far? How many more questions are left? 2 more. Complete till there, all of you? Done? Next question.
What do you mean by translocation with respect to transport and plants? Translocation in plants can be defined as the transport of materials from the leaves to other parts of the plant.
Transport of soluble food.
Transport.
Soluble food. What is translocation? Check your answers, all of you. Translocation is the process of transport or movement of soluble food. Soluble food by the which tissues?
Phloem.
By the phloem. Transport of soluble food by the phloem from the leaves to all parts of the plant. So 3 things to mention there. Soluble food, phloem, and in what direction? From the leaves to all parts of the plant. In all directions, always remember. From the leaves to all parts of the plant. Got that, all of you?
Yes.
Last one more answer. Read out. Vyog, no? Read out. Read out. What is the last question? What is that last question?
65.
What is the last question? I don't know. What will happen to a plant?
Since xylem is removed.
And there will be no process of transpirational pool which will affect the
Did you
leaves.
write the answer? No. Read the question first. What will happen to a plant if the xylem is removed out? If the xylem is removed out, what will happen to the plant?
The process of transpiration.
Nine.
The movement of water will
Minerals. Transport of water minerals will not happen. Transpiration is not directly related with xylem. Transpiration to leaves mein hota hai. And the leaves are related, the cells of the leaves are related. So indirect relation hai. The xylem cells are not carrying out transpiration. So what will happen? They are just carrying the water.
Transpiration of transportation of water minerals won't take place.
So now if this is a plant, and I understand that this is a plant and then the leaf which undergo transpiration. The leaf is undergoing transpiration. But यहाँ पे the central tube that is there, the central tube is xylem. The central tube is also very much connected to the leaf. And this particular xylem tube is having the water and the minerals filled in it. I am cutting the plant in such a way that this part of the xylem or partially of the part of the xylem is cut out. I am cutting or making depression on the stem in such a way that the xylem is all cut out. What will happen to the leaves? The leaves will all drying out. The leaves will undergo wilting, drying up. The upper parts of the plant will all start drying up. Why? Because the transfer of the water is not happening. Transfer of the water minerals not happening. So the upper part of the plant will show yellowing of the leaves also because the chlorophyll is not getting formed. So what is the answer based on what 2 points you are supposed to write? If the xylem is cut out or removed, transport of water and minerals will not take place. Transport of water and minerals will not take place. Full stop. This will result in wilting or drying up of the leaves, drying up and yellowing of the leaves. This will result in drying up or yellowing of the leaves. And also the process of photosynthesis will not take place. So the plant is in due course of time, the plant dies out. And also if there is no water minerals, photosynthesis, no question. So there is no water transport. If there is no water transport, distribution of water minerals not there, the leaves will start wilting and yellowing. This is the first point you mentioned. And the second point you write, the process of photosynthesis will not take place. Process of photosynthesis will not take place. Clear? Clear? All of you are done with all those questions? Now, Vedant. Vedant. Who is Vedant? What is the definition of chlorophyll? How did we define chlorophyll? Basic concept you should be able to remember. There is no mugging, reading 100 times. This concept is basic, you should be able to tell me. Samandruta is absent today. Daksh, definition of chlorophyll.
Green color pigments are present on the leaves which help in photosynthesis.
Okay, still better. What is chlorophyll?
Chlorophyll is a green pigment which helps the leaf.
I had always asked you to mention specific words. Green colored photosynthesis. I mean, green colored pigment, what is it doing?
Green colored photosynthesis.
Photosynthesis. The specific pigment meant for photosynthesis. Yes, anything more? Photosynthetic pigment. Green colored photosynthetic pigment. Mukund, this is bad. Now, what is, can you name two sites of photosynthesis in a plant? Name two sites of photosynthesis in a plant. Basic concepts students always remember. इसमें पढ़ाई की जरूरत नहीं है. You cannot justify that I did not read, so I don't know. Give me two locations जहाँ पे photosynthesis होता है. I always explain it. Leaves. Guard cells बोलना है. Stomata, guard cells of the stomata. Next is
Can the green stem of a plant
green
be
stem of a
side?
young green stem also you write. Vedant Kadam.
Yes.
What is the role of pepsin? Just the basic concept to tell me. What is the role of pepsin?
It breaks down the whole fat.
नहीं. Pepsin से हमेशा याद रखो. P for pepsin, P for
Proteins.
हाँ.
Which helps to break down the protein molecules.
Two. नहीं, protons तो कहाँ you went to peptones. Peptones. Where does it take place? Where does this process take place? Where? Stomach. Okay? The pepsin is an enzyme of the stomach. It is an enzyme of the stomach. What does it do? Break down proteins. Two peptones. Peptones जो partially digested proteins है. Naisha, what is the function of when we are talking about the trypsin, the enzyme trypsin? What is the job of the trypsin?
Now it breaks down the peptones into simpler molecules, which is.
Do you remember the name? Very good. Peptones to peptides. Peptones to peptides. Nilesh. Tanish. What is the role of diaphragm during the process of inhalation? I'm so impressed. अभी वो पहले बोलेगा। Diaphragm, what happens to diaphragm during inhalation? Diaphragm.
Inward and
Prompt नहीं करोगे उसको, and he is getting confused. उसको पहले सोचने दो। Diaphragm कहाँ पे है? Diaphragm below the lungs. वो क्या है? It is made up of what? Make it fast. It is made up of what? Diaphragm is made up of. Let him think first. Diaphragm is made up of bone, tissue, cartilage, muscle, what? इतना याद रखना पड़ेगा ना? I'm not asking you to understand all the steps of inhalation and exhalation right now, but वो diaphragm है क्या चीज? कहाँ पे है? उतना तो याद रहना चाहिए. This is concept. Concept तो याद रहना ही पड़ेगा ना? For that you don't have to study. मैंने explanation सुना है, ma'am has repeated 5 times. मैंने images देखा, वो basic चीज याद रहना चाहिए कि what is it? Is it a stone or it is a cartilage और ये liquid है, solid है, क्या है वो? That much you should remember. कौन बोलेगा? Diaphragm is what type of a tissue? What is it? Muscle. It's a muscle. Do you remember now? Diaphragm, if it is a muscle, then how does it behave during inhalation? नहीं, वो तो ribs है. Moves outward.
upward.
नहीं.
It
And?
press and
Contracts and flattens. Contracts, हाँ, you want to answer. Contracts and flattens. Huh?
I would say contract.
Contracts and flattens. Shubham. When we are talking about the difference between what is the difference between gaseous exchange and tissue respiration? Achha, just tell me the basic thing. Gaseous exchange and tissue respiration. What happens to oxygen? With reference to gaseous exchange and tissue respiration, what is happening to oxygen? Only that you tell me. What did you understand? Huh? वो तो फर्स्ट स्टैंडर्ड का बच्चा भी बोल पाएगा. I'm not asking the meaning. What happens? Gaseous exchange में what are you understanding? The moment I'm asking you gaseous exchange for oxygen, क्या हो रहा है? Oxygen is moving from where to where? किसी का सुन के कभी भी किसी का नहीं सुनना लाइफ में. You do what you know the best and what your brain directs you. कभी किसी का सुन के चलोगे ना, you'll always drown like anything. उसका सुना क्यों तुमने? And you are telling me wrong answers. Think. When you are talking about oxygen, gaseous exchange है, and I'm talking about oxygen. Oxygen कहाँ से कहाँ move होगा? तुमने inhale किया, तो oxygen कहाँ से कहाँ move होना चाहिए? From where to where the oxygen will get transported? Shubham, start. You have not started even. Basic cheese, if you don't know.
it will move from the blood vessel to the body tissues because of the higher concentration.
कैसे जाएगा? Blood vessels से straight away body tissue कैसे जाएगा?
No, from the when we inhale,
When you are inhaling now, अभी oxygen जो है कहाँ से कहाँ जा रहा है? Now that
it
you
will
are,
go to lungs.
हाँ, फिर lungs से कहाँ
And from
जाएगा?
lungs to the blood vessel.
हाँ, तो इस process को क्या बोलेंगे? Lungs.
Gaseous exchange.
और उसके बाद tissue respiration किसको बोलेंगे?
When the oxygen in the blood, which mixed with hemoglobin, it transfers to the tissues.
आया समझ में? Lungs से जो blood में जाएगा that is gaseous exchange. Blood से जो tissues में जाएगा that is tissue respiration.
Can you explain this?
अरे
Because
same thing. Now that you are inhaling the oxygen from your lungs or alveolus moving towards the nearby blood, ये हो गया gaseous exchange का एक part. और this oxygen forms hemoglobin के साथ bond and etc. and goes to the tissues. इसको बोलेंगे tissue respiration. You get questions, what is the difference between gaseous exchange and tissue respiration? So ये concept clear होनी चाहिए. Parin, वो पहले वाला question I'm not considering. Now, difference between pulmonary artery and vein, pulmonary vein. No worries.
Pulmonary artery transport deoxygenated blood from the deoxygenated blood from outside the
From heart.
heart to the body part.
Wait.
From heart to
Pulmonary artery है.
artery carrying blood from the deoxygenated blood from heart to the body.
Listen. Arteries हमेशा oxygenated blood carry करेगा from heart to body parts. Pulmonary artery एक exception है. तो क्या है वो exception?
Deoxygenated blood
हाँ, कहाँ से कहाँ?
heart से body parts.
नहीं, तो exception कहाँ हुआ?
Body parts से heart.
तो कौन सा body parts? It carries deoxygenated blood. That's the reason it is an exception. पर heart to body parts वो concept सही है. But which body part specifically? Pulmonary artery carries deoxygenated blood from heart to नहीं lungs. And pulmonary vein अभी बोलो.
From deoxygenated blood from lungs.
हाँ?
Oxygenated blood from lungs to heart.
Heart. Always remember, those of you are still confused about it, if it is an artery, always blood from heart to body parts. If it is a vein, always from body parts to from body parts to heart. Pulmonary artery, how an exception? It is carrying blood from heart to body part, but only the lungs. It is not carrying the blood from the heart to the legs or the stomach or anywhere, only till the lungs. But nature of the blood, not oxygenated but deoxygenated. तो यहाँ पे वो exception.
There will be two differences.
The nature of the blood is the major difference. वैसे तो structurally और भी difference है. If I talk about that, the pulmonary artery is carrying blood from the heart only till the lungs. It is not touching any other part of the body, only till the lungs. What is the nature of the blood? Deoxygenated. Veins will always carry blood from the body part to the heart. If it is pulmonary vein, is it collecting blood from the stomach and the intestine? No, only from the lungs till the heart. But the blood is oxygenated, unlike other veins of the body. Clear, no? Clear? Next, view. Again, what are the valves on the right side and the left side of the heart?
On the right side, right atrium and the right ventricle tricuspid valve, and the left ventricle to left atrium bicuspid valve.
Super. Next is Bhavya. Bhavya is after Trisha. When you talk about the function of the valves all over the body and the heart, what was the function we studied? Function of valves. What is the function of the valves? What is the significance of the valves in the heart, in the vein? Valves क्या करता है हमारे heart में? Think, what did we study? If the tricuspid valve अगर नहीं होता, तो क्या होता?
There will be no pumping of blood.
एक और चीज, एक और major function.
It prevents the backflow of blood.
Backflow of the blood. Tricuspid नहीं होता, then there would have been possibility enough that from the right ventricle जब contract हो रहा है, the blood goes back to the auricle. हो ही सकता था. So now the right ventricle, the tricuspid, bicuspid, preventing that. All over the body. Next, Adeline. When we are talking about the concept of double circulation, in basic for it is for a 1 mark answer, what will you write? What is double circulation?
In double circulation, first the deoxygenated blood goes to the heart, and when it becomes oxygenated, it goes back to the lungs.
क्लियर हो जाओ पहले. You are talking about structure, heart है, lungs है, body tissues है. 3 things. If it is double circulation, what is happening?
The thing is, the blood is circulating from the lungs to the heart twice. That is why it's called double circulation.
Nice. Think. I'll give you 2 minutes. Think. Double circulation. What did we learn? I had explained you that figure. Double circulation. क्यों बोलते हैं इसे? Why double circulation?
The deoxygenated blood enters the heart
From where?
from the vena cava.
By the way of vena cava. From where? Body.
From the body, and then that deoxygenated blood goes to the lungs.
Correct.
It becomes oxygenated because of the gaseous exchange
And comes back.
and comes back to the heart,
कहाँ पे? Which side?
to the left atrium,
हाँ.
and then goes out to the aorta,
Aorta.
and it goes to the other parts.
Of the body. So whenever you are asked, the deoxygenated blood from the body parts reaches the right side of the heart. It is deoxygenated, reaching the right side of the heart, going to the lungs. After oxygenation, comes back again to the left side, and then again leaves by the aorta to the body. So since the blood is entering the body, entering the heart twice, the process is known as double circulation. Janice?
Yes.
When we are talking about the basic structure of the trachea, remember the trachea. How is the trachea, or what is the specialized structures of the trachea and the bronchi which prevents from collapsing? Trachea, bronchi are specialized. They have got one special structure in them which prevents their collapsing even when you are breathing very hard, very fast. They never collapse. मतलब कभी ऐसे shrink नहीं हो जाता है. What is the reason? Think, what did we study? नहीं याद आ रहा है?
There's something in the and the what do we say, this
Outer
wall,
wall.
the outer wall.
तो outer wall में क्या है? For the trachea and the bronchi, they have something specialized on their outer wall which prevents the collapsing. क्या है वो? हाँ. C-shaped.
C-shaped.
Cartilaginous rings. C-shaped cartilaginous rings prevent the collapsing even when we are breathing very hard. Vishwaja, why is the blood flowing in an artery at a very high pressure? Give me 2 reasons. Blood flowing in an artery always at a very high pressure. Q?
Artery, the blood in the artery, the blood which flows via artery, flows from downward, like from the body parts to the heart. So it has.
Think what you are saying. Blood that is flowing in an artery is flowing from where to where?
It is flowing from the heart to all the body parts.
हाँ. तो प्रेशर क्यों ज्यादा होगा?
Because it is oxygen.
नहीं. We had learned 2-3 points why the pressure of the blood is more in the arteries. I am asking. 2 ही points सीखना है.
And first is that because of the left ventricle, it comes very high because of
The force of contraction of the left ventricle is very high, which is pushing the blood into the arteries. Arteries में blood पहुंचता कैसे है? Only because of the contraction of the left ventricle, aorta होके blood सारे arteries में जा रहा है. So obviously the force of contraction in the left ventricle is so high, so the pressure of the blood is also very high. But एक और reason क्या है?
second was because the gap is very narrow.
Lumen, gap नहीं बोलो, lumen, or the inner space, the inner cavity. Cavity wide है कि narrow है? Narrow. So what are the 2 reasons? What are the 2 reasons? Because of the what are the 2 reasons which enables a very high pressure of blood in the arteries? Number one, blood enters the artery due to the contraction of the left ventricle. And number two, the lumen is very narrow. There are many other reasons also like the gravity and etc. But these are the two main reasons to always mention. Manasvi, when, what happened? Okay. Now, when we are talking about the structure of the heart, when we talk about the structure of the heart, tell me one major difference between the vena cava and the aorta with reference to the heart. Vena cava, aorta.
The vena cava is when all the things of the body combine to form a large vein. There is a superior vena cava
Which carries?
which has vena cava has deoxygenated blood.
Carries,
And the superior.
So vena cava from the, if you are talking about superior, inferior, what is the difference?
Superior all come from the upper body and inferior all come from the lower body.
Very good. And
The aorta is a large artery which divides into several small arteries.
what type of blood aorta?
Oxygenated blood.
Always oxygenated blood. Akshara, she is absent. Ritika, Aditi. Aditi. Now, what is, when we are talking about the structure of the heart, what would happen if the septum is not there? The muscular wall.
It basically like prevents the oxygenated and deoxygenated blood from mixing. So if it's not there, then our oxygenated blood and deoxygenated blood will mix. And then we'll have like more energy will be required to separate them, like it happens.
नहीं, oxygenated blood and deoxygenated mixing हो रहा है, तो उसकी वजह से क्या होगा? Tell me another one reason. Because of this mixing, what will happen? What did we learn? ये mixing होने की वजह से next what will the problem be in our body? What did we learn? Always I told you this.
We need more energy to.
Remember you had written one answer. What is the significance of 4-chambered heart? तो उसमें भी वही same point हमने लिखा है that if the mixing would have happened, then supply of oxygen to the tissues would be much less, no? And release of energy. Energy release to tissues करेगा, not the heart. Next is Ritika.
Yes.
When we are talking about the process of, or when we are talking about the exchange of gases, when we are looking into the process of inhalation and exchange of gases, just try understanding. What would happen in a person's body if the hemoglobin concentration is much less?
Hemoglobin basically mixes with oxygen to form a temporary compound, oxyhemoglobin, which helps in the transport of oxygen from the blood to the rest of the tissues. So if there is less hemoglobin, the transport of oxygen will be at a much lesser rate, and therefore the production of energy will also be
much
lesser.
less. Very good. Anurag. What is absorption?
Digestion, right? Like in the.
What is the basic meaning of absorption that you have understood? What is absorption?
Absorption is basically when the nutrients from the food is absorbed by all of the tissues and cells of the body. That's one. And the blood.
What is absorption? The nutrients are absorbed by the blood. क्या समझूं मैं? Absorption मतलब क्या? What did I have used one word there. What is absorption? What is the simplest form of carbohydrate digestion? Glucose. I want to understand what is glucose. How is glucose absorption? What is meant by glucose absorption? So what will you explain to me? What is glucose absorption? क्या हो रहा है? Absorption में क्या हो रहा है? These glucose molecules are moving from where to where? Intestine to the blood of the villi. What is that process? What was that word I had used? Diffusion. The diffusion of, you will not write absorption, meaning it is the absorption of the nutrients from the intestine. So you are not explaining. Always use that word. What is the meaning of diffusion? What is the meaning of absorption? Diffusion of fatty acids, amino acids, glucose from the intestine towards the blood. That is absorption. Sanjiti. Tell me again, during the process of inhalation, exhalation, what is the role of the diaphragm?
During inhalation, the diaphragm contracts and curves.
नहीं, contracts and ये याद रखना हमेशा. If it is contracting, inhalation में what is necessary? The space should be big. So contract होके अगर ये फिर से curved हो जाए तो space तो कम हो जाएगा.
Contracts and flattens.
Flattens.
And in exhalation, it
तो contracts है तो relax होगा. Relaxes and curves down. Please go through those chapters. Some of you are yet to start. You have not even seen the notebook. You have not even seen the pages of the textbook. Please go through. And on top of that, I told you, go through the questions of the volume. I had asked you to solve some. The other day, did we solve some questions of I think we had transportation questions of the volume. I think I had already asked you to solve. So those questions also, now these are questions I have given you answers. There are some questions of the volume also. I think the other day I had asked you, since I've already started with the SPD system, definitely I must have asked you. That means many questions are still left. Some of the questions which are framed in a different way, answers are the same. I have not touched those questions at all in the class because we'll not be able to manage the time in that case. So you are supposed to go through all these questions, and every day that we meet here, at least some of you should be having doubts. Nobody has a doubt. Nobody has a doubt. Very clear. You all are still not very serious about studying. I'm saying not to be very serious, but start your process now. Start your process. If you don't start, now see those questions, you are not even aware. So many questions are there, different type of questions, answers sometimes the same, sometimes different. Which points to touch? So now that I discuss all these questions, you understand quite a number of times students would just write superficially. Just simple, just superficially you are writing down. And if it is a 2-mark answer, 3-mark answer, you end up getting only 1 there or 1.5 there. So if you go through the question, then only you will have doubts. If you don't have doubts, meaning you have not gone through. That is very clear. Because by the month of September, October, you will be running with your books, here, this teacher, that teacher, and so busy you become. Why not start from now? And parents are worried. You are crying, parents are crying, everybody is in a mess now at that time. Why do you do that? Batch after batch, the same story. Parin, how many hours you study? I think that's a wrong question this month, I should ask. How many hours do you study? Did you start studying?
Like 2-3 hours.
3 hours in the month of May. Do you think I'm a fool to believe you this?
No,
Parents
I
let us
sit
know
for
that
3
we do
hours.
it.
Huh?
I sit 3 hours.
Definitely. Very good.
If we don't sit for like
I sit
for
for
3 hours, we
Half an hour?
3.5 hours.
1 hour.
I sit for 3 hours.
Or study for 1 hour. Remember, children, now that you are in the 10th standard, and let me make it very clear, 10 CBSE, if little bit you just make it programmed, very easy to get full marks. Most of the children, 80% children are not at all focused. You all are taking things very lightly, and in the month of September, October, when you don't get satisfactory marks in your school, you get up. Some of you still at that time also, you don't realize. You realize much later when your prelims happen, and that's too late. Prelims happen and then you start studying, that's too late. Please, I tell you again, if you start now, by the month of October, you are more or less thorough with your syllabus, you get almost 2 months for full revision, you are very comfortable. And at least getting full marks in 2-3 subjects is not at all difficult in CBSE. It's very, very easy. I think here